chapter, The Graal, from the book Help! They've Kidnapped Me, Lady Di, by Slobodan Radiovic, presented at the New Title Showcase at the Javits Center in New York, the Book Expo America Fair, from May 25th till 27th, and published this book as the Wilhelm Institute Press Foundation in Amsterdam. Chapter 7, The Graal. A few years after Christ's resurrection, the Apostle Luke, together with a number of Christ's followers, climbed Ludgate Hill, situated in the center of what is now London. He brought with him the cup in which Christ had poured wine during the Last Supper with his disciples, and with which the blood of Christ was collected at the crucifixion. After Christ has risen and shown himself to his disciples, the Apostle Luke hands him the cup filled with his blood. Christ takes the cup and, holding it aloft, says a prayer. Then he gives the cup back to the Apostle. Luke accepts it gently in order not to shed the blood of Christ. But the cup is empty. All the apostles are speechless. Christ smiles and says, "Look, I am going now unto our Father. Keep this cup until I return. This sacred cup in you will serve as proof that all who believe in God will live until I return. Even if it takes thousands of years on earth, your body will not age, and nobody with you will grow old and die. I will not return until God's will is fulfilled. Then you and all your chosen ones will be granted eternal life, such as the angels and I have." The Apostle Luke, accompanied by a number of other disciples of Christ and Mary Magdalene, had come to this area because it was God's will. At the top of Ludgate Hill is an opening that leads deep under the ground to an enormously wide open cave. There the Apostle Luke placed the Holy Grail on top of a cliff, from where its ever-shining light penetrated the cave night and day. Deep in this cave is a source of drinking water that flows through a subterranean passageway further underground out into the Thames. The Apostle Luke gave directions to build a monastery on top of the divine underground cave in order to camouflage its entrance. However, immediately after the monastery was built, which the followers of Christ had named after the name of their teacher Jesus, it was demolished on orders of the Romans, who had occupied a large part of this biggest European island and who persecuted Christians all across Europe. Fortunately, the Romans did not discover the entrance to the underground cave. The room was spared. The Apostle Luke was then forced for some time to retreat with the followers of Christ to a different location. First, they moved to what is now France, and then to Serbia, where they had already lived before. The secret Vatican archives, which only the Pope and his trusted advisors are allowed to visit, clearly record that the Holy Grail was left behind under the ruins of the monastery of the Creator in the underground cave. In those archives, it is also written that the Apostle Luke returned to the island at the beginning of the year 600. On top of the ruins of the monastery of the Creator on London's Ludgate Hill, he built a cathedral which, in reverence of the Creator, he renamed St. Paul in order to divert the attention of the heathens. The construction of the new cathedral was completed in the year 604. The secret Vatican document reveals that the builders found the hidden entrance to the cave and laid eyes on the Holy Grail, upon which their power of speech was immediately revoked, and that they all became monks. And since everyone who beholds the Holy Grail is granted the power of eternal life, they could until now reveal the secret to no one. The new cathedral was damaged several times due to the hatred of Christianity on the part of the indigenous inhabitants of Europe's largest islands, who then were rather primitive, faithless creatures, dressed in leather and resembling the old Scandinavian Vikings. Although the Christians repeatedly renovated the cathedral, it was ultimately set aflame by the anti-Christians in the year 675. The English Christians did not give up, however, because living in their midst again was Christ's disciple, the Apostle Luke. And so they built a new cathedral at the same place on London's Ludgate Hill. The large cathedral, which also bore the name of St. Paul, was plundered and demolished during the invasion of the Normans in the year 962. And for the second time, the Apostle Luke and his companions had to leave the large islands to return to the Balkans. But this time, he took the Holy Grail with him. In 10,087, the Normans, in accordance with the spirit and architecture of national Norman Christianity, built a different, much higher church on the same site. But in order to entice the indigenous inhabitants of London into joining their non-Christian faith, they named the church St. Paul again. Be that as it may, it was the largest church in England with the highest tower, its spire even extending beyond the clouds and, according to legend, even higher than the Tower of Babel. But again, as recorded in the Vatican secret archives, this was not appreciated by the Creator of heaven and earth. And so with a thunderous lightning strike, God destroyed the tower in 1561. Set in fire by the lightning bolt, everything burnt down to the bottom of the church. And when the fire threatened to incinerate the roof of the chapel as well, a nun named Frances ran out of the cathedral and knelt down on the floor. With her hands tearing her nun's dress in rags, revealing her full breasts that no man had ever caressed, she raised her eyes up to the heavens and shouted, "My God, why?" At that moment, a mysterious, smoothly shaven, beautiful, tall man appears out of the darkness and steps up to her. Dressed in a white silk robe that gives light in the dark, the mysterious man covers her body with a white silk cloth.